Back here on First Things First, we're now joined by Sports Illustrated senior writer Chris Mannix. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. Good morning.
Great to have you.
It's a good-looking suit, brother.
Hey, man, I'm trying to...
Listen, Mannix works like 4 jobs, and the wardrobe has gone off the charts.
Just trying to keep up with the rights.
Oh, well done.
Mannix, we got a lot to talk about ahead of today's trade deadline, but first we're going to go viral. The Rockets traded Clint Capella for Robert Covington earlier this week, leading many to wonder who the Rockets will play at center. PJ Tucker has the answer, posting this image of himself on stilts on the gram, playing the position of center for the Houston Rockets.
PJ Tucker jokes, but he is going to be the center for the Houston Rockets, probably for the foreseeable future.
You don't think before the end of today they add a playable big man?
I don't think before the end of today, but I do think when the buyout market comes around, a Jan Mahimi type will be out there, and they'll probably pick him up.
Yeah, they're going to have to. Like, I understand they want to go all in with the 6'6" and under lineup.
Small
You're going
ball,
to need... Right, you're going to need some size at some point in the postseason.
There should be a book done on this Rockets team. Like D'Antoni last year of his contract, they trade away the bigs. Like, it's a weird team this year.
It's a very, very odd dynamic in Houston at the moment.
All right, we got some stories to start your morning this morning, sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. So the Kansas City Chiefs celebrating their first Super Bowl parade in 50 years yesterday, and head coach Andy Reid told the crowd, "We are coming right back here." Nick, will you be at the parade next year, since by mistake you missed the parade this year?
I'm not a huge parade guy, and I'm not ready right now, first week of February, to pick who's going to win next year's Super Bowl. I will say this. If you had to pick one team, the best bet is Kansas City.
Yes.
They've got the best player in football. They're going to be bringing everyone of substance back except for possibly Chris Jones and Sammy Watkins, who obviously were big in the playoffs for them. And Andy Reid with that monkey off his back, you wonder if you're even going to see the best version of Andy Reid moving forward.
I think the Patriots proved, when in doubt, bet on the great quarterback and the great coach, and the Chiefs have both of them.
100%.
All right, moving on to the losing side of that Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo said the struggles in Super Bowl 54 will fuel him to come back even better. Nick, how should the Niners feel about Jimmy G moving forward?
Could be worse. Certainly could be better. I think they would feel a hell of a lot worse if they weren't. He's now on a pay-as-you-go contract. They can get out of his deal, even this, they won't this offseason, but even this offseason, certainly next offseason, with almost no dead money. So, Jimmy Garoppolo, what I will say is this. He is absolutely playing for his job this coming year. Like, the grace period of getting you to a Super Bowl evaporates pretty quick when people say you blew the Super Bowl at the end. So, it could be worse, but I do think they have the worst quarterback. Here, Goff, the worst quarterback in their own division. It's not Russell Wilson. I think Kyler will be better. It's not a great position to be in.
Look, it's a high bar in that division.
Yes.
But look, at least with Jimmy Garoppolo, I think we can safely say he can be a game manager type. And teams have won Super Bowls with great defenses, great running games. I think Jimmy is not going to be a problem for that team moving forward.
You think the Patriots just trade back for him this offseason?
I think Bill Belichick would take him back.
A Brady Garoppolo 1 for 1?
Bill Belichick would take him back in a heartbeat.
Hey, how good are the Miami Heat? Well, they're a little bit better today after getting Andre Iguodala from the Grizzlies last night. The 36-year-old former NBA Finals MVP goes to Miami with a 2-year, $30 million extension. There are also reports that the trade could land Danilo Gallinari with the Heat before today's deadline. So, Nick, are the Heat legit contenders in the East after this move?
Well, if this move also culminates with Gallinari, I think they are the second best team in the conference. Now, I don't think anyone in the East is going to be able to compete with Milwaukee. So define if contender is, can you make the conference finals? 100%. Absolutely. They should be able to. They're right now 4th in the standings. They should be able to tick up to that 2-3 line so they avoid Milwaukee in round 2. And things happen. Guys get hurt. Guys get tight. There are things to where you now look at Miami and say, man, Pat bleeping Riley, America. This guy had a good playing career. Was far better as a head coach, Hall of Fame coaching career, and I would argue Mannix has been even better as an executive than he was as a head coach. I don't know how they just all of a sudden, seemingly with no assets, get Jimmy Butler. And now all of a sudden, they might not only get Iggy, who I thought, maybe you tell me you were hearing different things, I thought he was definitely going to one of the 2 LA teams, but now also might get Gallinari. They already go 10 deep. I don't think their starting lineup is overwhelming, but their second lineup might be as good as their starting lineup. It's just a wildly impressive job of team building and culture building by Riley and Spo.
Yeah, a couple things. Throw in Andy Ellsberg, was the GM down in Miami, who is like the cap master and made all this stuff work.
Has the job I want.
In the what we know department, right? We know that Iguodala is headed to Miami. He helps. Jimmy Butler has been taxed a lot this season. Iguodala is the kind of guy that defensively he's going to be able to step in and guard 2s and 3s and be that type of player, taking some of the pressure off some of the other guys on the roster. So assuming that he can get back into game shape, which, by the way, I'd still like to see at this point. He's been off since last June. Let's see how long it takes him to get back into shape. But assuming he can get back into game shape, that's a significant upgrade. They are not on Milwaukee's level, though, to your point, unless they add Gallinari. Gallinari's terrific. He is a 20-point-per-game scorer who can shoot the 3, who can score various ways. He takes pressure offensively off of Jimmy Butler. Now, I've heard mixed things in the last 12 hours about whether or not that deal goes through. The Thunder are notoriously tough to deal with, but they are motivated to deal Gallinari, who is not part of their long-term future. So if they get Gallinari, I think they can compete with Milwaukee.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was going to follow up on. So you think that if they get Gallinari, that they could, let's just assume full health for both sides, that could be a series that we're seeing a Game 6 of, and you don't know what's going to happen?
Yeah, I think you could see a Game 6. I just think Bam Adebayo is great, a defensive player. Eric Spoelstra, excellent coach. He'll find different ways to kind of attack Giannis, maybe force him to be a perimeter shooter. And what worries me about Milwaukee, and when you talk to people in the Bucks organization, it worries them too, Eric Bledsoe. Eric Bledsoe remains somewhat of a concern because the last 2 postseasons, he has struggled at various points. Against Boston 2 years ago, he really struggled. The conference finals last year, he struggled. This year, there is no Malcolm Brogdon safety net. It's Eric Bledsoe. George Hill has been good, but it's Eric Bledsoe who needs to step up and play. If he struggles again, it opens the door.
And one last very quick point. Listen, Iguodala just turned 36, hasn't played basketball all year. He was playing limited minutes last year. But what he instantly adds is top of the league level maturity and playoff experience. And as good as this Heat team has been in the regular season, they haven't been very good on the road, which I think speaks to the lack of maturity. And once the postseason comes along, Kendrick Dunn, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero have never played a big game in their a real big game in their respective careers. Iggy will take some of the pressure off them in that regard.
No matter what happens over the next 12 hours, the big winner at the trade deadline is Andre Iguodala. He played golf for 6 months and now has a 2-year, $30 million
and got an extension.
That's what I'm saying.
Got to Miami, no state tax, an extension. Unbelievable.
Life is good for Iggy right now. All right, it's time now for your rewarding